almost time. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada. Prabhupada ki Jai. Ilmani Prabhu, you have a YouTube also going on at the same time? Do you have a YouTube also going on at the same time, Ilmani Prabhu? Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, there's a delay, like a 10-second delay, right?
Yeah.
So I don't see Maharaj joining just as yet, though. Does anybody know if Maharaj has joined, if he's joining on a different name or anything like that? Okay. All right. Well, I guess okay, we will wait a few more minutes for Maharaj. So anyway, let me welcome all of you to this channel, ISKCON of New Jersey, Zoom channel. This is the first time that we'll be having His Holiness Bhakti Rasamrita Maharaj, and we're very excited to have him here. There he is. Hare Krishna Maharaj. I think Maharaj has arrived. Hare Krishna Maharaj. Please have my obeisances. Jai Shri Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam Maharaj.
So we have Yashodhara Prabhu also here. Shankun Prabhu is also here.
Okay.
Maharaj.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Hare Krishna.
So wonderful to see you.
So thank you very much, Maharaj, for coming. And I think we can just get started. We just had a couple of minutes of kirtan, and I will just welcome all the devotees here. So thank you all for joining. As you know, Maharaj needs no introduction. He's one of the most beloved speakers of Harikatha around the world. And I just want to say how incredibly thankful we are Maharaj, that you have taken out the time from your many, many engagements and come to address our Sangha at ISKCON of New Jersey. Today we have people logging in from on YouTube and Zoom from all over the country in the US, as well as Australia and Canada, even Panama. We have a bunch of devotees from Panama. And even in Europe, where it is in the middle of the night, it's considered a very ungodly hour, but this is the hour when we get association to become more godly with this wonderful katha. So we really, really thank you, Maharaj, for giving us your time. So I'll hand it off to you. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Hare Krishna. So we'll begin with a short Jai Radha Madhava. You can all hear me, I suppose?
Yes, Maharaj.
Okay. Jai Radha Madhava Kunj Bihari Radha Madhava Kunj Bihari Jai Radha Madhava Kunj Bihari Radha Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Braja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jayam Vishnupad Paramhansa Parivrajaka Ashtotra Sat. His Divine Grace Abhay Charanaravinda Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Gokulananda Ki Jai. Shri Shri Gaur Nitai Ki Jai. Shri Shri Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Mai Ki Jai. Nitai Gaur Premanande. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories, all glories, all glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga. So I'll be discussing a verse from the celebrated Mukunda Mala Stotra of King Kulashekar, the great devotee of the Lord. Those of you who have the Mukunda Mala Stotra in front of you, either the hard copy or the soft copy, you can open to text 38. Ascharyametadhi manushya loke sudham parityajya visham pibanti namani narayana gocharani tyatvam yavachah kuhakah pathanti. Ascharyametadhi manushya loke sudham parityajya visham pibanti Namani Narayana Gocharani Tyaktvanya Vachaha Kuhakaha Patanti. Translation. The greatest wonder in human society is this. People are so incorrigible that they reject the life-giving nectar of Lord Narayana's names and instead drink poison by speaking everything else. So you may kindly repeat the translation. The greatest wonder in human society is this. People are so incorrigible that they reject the life-giving nectar of Lord Narayana's names and instead drink poison by speaking everything else. Om Jnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadam Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutapadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sakrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhamvitamscha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pacharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Eva Cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna. I'm very happy to be with all the devotees of ISKCON of New Jersey again. It has been several years since I had the good fortune of being with all of you in Towaco. Now, of course, you have a nice project coming up, and I'm happy to be with all of you on Zoom. And I do hope that you are all keeping well and safe and healthy in the midst of this pandemic. You are somewhere in the hot spot of the pandemic, and our prayers are always with all of you. I also hope that all of you are able to utilize the time of this lockdown very productively for your Krishna consciousness. And also I would like to welcome all those who have joined in either on Zoom or on Facebook from different parts of the world. And likewise, we also hope that all of you are also keeping well, healthy, and Krishna conscious. So King Kulashekara, as we all know, is celebrated as a great devotee, a pure devotee of the Lord. His main book, his main composition is the Mukundamala Stotra. He has composed other works as well, but Srila Prabhupada actually began translating this text. He translated and commented extensively, wrote long purports on a few of the verses, but then he was unable to complete that. And His Holiness Satsvarup Maharaj then completed the purports to the remaining verses. So Srila Prabhupada really did appreciate King Kulashekar and his composition because it is such a devotional text, so full of philosophical teachings, and the emphasis on pure devotion and on the chanting of the names of the Lord is very, very significant. In this verse, the 38th verse, King Kulashekar speaks about the greatest wonder in human society. Ashcharyam etadhi manushya loke. Manushya means humans, loka means the world. Ashcharya means the sense of wonder or amazement. And he means certainly, etad means this. So what is the greatest wonder in this human society? So the greatest wonder in human society, if you look at it from a materialistic point of view, someone may say the greatest wonder is the Eiffel Tower or the Niagara Falls or something like that. But King Kulashekhar's understanding of what is most amazing is unique. He says the greatest wonder in the world is that people are so incorrigible. People are so unwise that they sudham parityajya. Sudham refers to nectar. Parityajya means to reject. That they give up nectar which is easily available, and visham pibanti. Visham means poison. And they willingly, happily drink poison. So this is something not at all intelligent. When someone has the opportunity to drink nectar, which is so delicious, life-giving, and you give up that and take up something which is poison, destructive, then that's not a sign of intelligence at all. So the greatest wonder in the world is that people give up easily available poison, I beg your pardon, give up easily available nectar, and they accept the poison of this world. So what is this nectar and what is this poison? He explains, Namani Narayana Gocharani. So the transcendental names of Lord Narayana or Lord Krishna is the nectar which people give up, and Tyaktva Anya Vachaha Kuhakaha Patanti. So they give up Namani Narayana Gocharani Tyaktva. So they give up the nectar of the holy names of Lord Krishna, and Anya Vachaha Kuhaka Patanti. And they, Patanti means to recite or to speak. So they recite or they speak or they describe Anya Vachaha, words other than the names, forms, pastimes, etc. of Krishna. Kuhakaha. So Kuhaka indicates those who are unwise. Here the translation is given as rogues. So this is the wonder. Now the word Ascharyam is significant because it appears many times in the devotional literature and even generally speaking in Sanskrit literature. So it can be translated in many ways as something amazing, something wonderful, something marvelous. So when we speak of something wonderful, we speak of something that inspires some admiration. It inspires some delight within us. That is how we say, oh, this is so wonderful. So the word wonderful is generally used in a positive sense. When there is a sense of appreciation of something, a sense of admiring something, when something invokes a sense of great wonder in us. So that is the positive sense in which the word ascharyam or the word wonderful is used by us generally. And it is also used, that is a general sense in which it is often used in relation to the Lord and his devotees. Sometimes, however, it is also used in a negative sense to express a kind of disbelief about something or someone. let's say you're looking at someone who is doing something that is obviously so self-destructive, then you wonder, isn't it so amazing that this person is doing such a thing? Or you're expressing a sense of disbelief. How is it that this person is not seeing something that is so obvious, that is so evident? To use modern language, how is it that this person just doesn't get it? It's so simple, it's so clear to understand for everyone, but he still doesn't get it. So we use this kind of language often in our day-to-day activities. So it can also be used in a negative sense. It's amazing that they don't understand this. Yes? So in the Bhagavatam, we have the phrase "Pashyannapi na pashyati." They see it, but they still don't see it. Yes, so that is the amazing thing of this world. For example, a devotee of the Lord, a believer in God, may speak something like this. He may say, just look at this world, look at this creation. It is so amazing. It is so wonderful. There is so much beauty in this creation. There is so much harmony. Every aspect of the creation reflects, Krishna's intelligence, Krishna's wonderful nature, Krishna's power, etc., etc. So a devotee may say that, and then he may add, so this creation is indeed amazing, but there is one thing that is even more amazing than this amazing creation, and that is that there are some people who believe that this creation happened without a creator. It happened without any intelligence or ability in the background. So the word amazing is used in two different senses here. In the first sense, the devotee is speaking in appreciation of how wonderfully Krishna or God has designed this world. And we see the glory of Krishna by studying the beauty and the harmony and the amazing features of this creation. And the other sense in which the word amazing is used is in the sense of disbelief at how certain people just can't get it. And why don't they see that God has to be present? Just look at the creation. And then you must infer very clearly that God exists. But still there are people who don't believe that God exists. So this is something very amazing. So we see here two different ways in which the word amazing is used. Let us consider a few examples of the use of the word amazing in a positive sense in the Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. In the second chapter, text 29 of the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna explains knowledge, and specifically he speaks about the difference between the soul and the body. So in describing the soul, he says, Ascharyavat pashyati kaschid enam. Vat means full of. Ascharyavat, that means it's full of amazement. Yes. Pashyati means to see. Kaschit means someone. Enam means this soul, this entity. So Krishna starts off by saying, Ascharyavat pashyati kaschid enam. That some people look upon the soul as Ascharyavat, as amazing. And then Ascharyavat vadati tathaiva chanyaha. Cha anyaha, that means some others, they vadati, they speak about or describe enam, the soul, as being something amazing, Ascharyavat. Then again he says, Ascharyavat chainam anyaha shrinoti. And there are yet others who hear of the soul, shrinoti, as amazing. Shrutvapienam vedana chaiva kaschit. And there are yet others who even after hearing Shrutva api, na veda, they are not able to understand the soul. So here we understand the amazing nature of the soul. So this is how Srila Prabhupada translates it. That some people look upon the soul as amazing. Some people hear about the soul as amazing. Some people speak about the soul as amazing. And some people, even after hearing about the soul, are not able to understand it. So the soul is indeed very, very amazing. Why is it amazing? For so many reasons. It's just a tiny particle of spiritual energy, so small that we can't even see it. Even if we had, if it was a material object, it is so tiny, it will be very, very difficult to see. 1/10,000th of the tip of a hair, as described in the scriptures. And still, it can power the body of a tiny germ, too small to see with the naked eye. And it also powers the body of a gigantic whale or an elephant or a giraffe or something like that. So it's the same tiny little soul that can power bodies of such contrasting sizes. So it's so amazing. And it is also amazing that this one little tiny spark of spiritual energy gives life to this dull matter and makes it do all sorts of amazing things. It can talk, it can speak, it can think, it can act. So in this way, the soul is indeed very, very wonderful. So you can look upon the soul as amazing, you can describe it as amazing, you can hear of it as amazing, etc. But even after realize or trying to see it, trying to describe it, trying to hear about it, it is not easy to actually experience or realize it deeply. So therefore, Shrutva Pyenam. So even after hearing about the soul, Veda Nacha Eva Kashit, it is very difficult to realize it with one's heart. To have actual realization that I am the spirit soul and all living entities here are spirit souls. Very difficult to get that practical experiential realization of it. So in this way, the soul has been described as amazing in a very positive sense, in a sense of wonder, in a sense of amazement. And incidentally, if this tiny particle, the soul, is so amazing, then how much more amazing will be Krishna, who is the source of the soul? The soul is, after all, merely a tiny particle of Krishna's spiritual energy. Krishna's marginal energy, and this marginal energy qualitatively is spiritual. And Krishna is infinitely powerful and full of all sorts of wonderful qualities. So how much more amazing Krishna must be? So therefore, the word amazing is used here in this positive sense of admiration, of appreciation. Now, Srila Baladev Vidyabhushan, one of our great acharyas, has given a very interesting comment on this verse. And he says, the word ascharyavat or amazing can be used not only for the soul, but it can also be used for the person who is seeing, speaking about, or hearing about the soul. And it can also be used for the act of seeing, speaking, or hearing about the soul. So, for those of you who will refresh your memories from your high school grammar, whatever language you may have learned, yes? Subject, object, and verb. Yes, so subject means the person or that entity that's doing the action. So I am speaking to you. So I am the subject, and because and you are the object, I'm the subject, you are the object. And what is the action that I'm doing? I'm speaking. So speaking is the verb. You are the object, and I am the subject. Yes. So this is basic grammar. So Baladev Vidyabhushan says that the soul is the object. So very obviously the soul is amazing. But also what is interesting is that the person who is seeing the soul, who is describing the soul and hearing about the soul is also amazing. Why? Because you hardly find anyone interested in hearing about the soul and speaking about the soul, right? In realizing the soul. Most people reject the idea. They say, no, no, no. Oh, there is nothing like a soul. What's the proof? And they say all kinds of things like that. So the person who is interested, who is deeply committed to learning about the soul, to understanding it, to wanting to realize it, is very rare. It's an exceptional person who actually wants to learn about the soul in a very serious way. So therefore, this person, compared to the rest of the world, is indeed very amazing. And then the act of seeing the verb, that also is amazing because you can't see the soul with your ordinary mundane vision. With these material eyes, we cannot see the soul, which is something spiritual. It needs a kind of divine vision. And that divine vision comes by transcendental training of hearing, reading, practicing devotional service in an authorized way. So the process of looking upon the soul, of describing the soul, of hearing about the soul is also amazing because it's not an ordinary thing. It's not an ordinary process of seeing something or speaking something. For example, the coronavirus, you can see it with a microscope. It's a little particle of something. Or at least I suppose you can see it with a microscope. So that is an ordinary way of seeing things, describing things, hearing about things. But when you speak about the soul, because it's spiritual, so the process of speaking about it, hearing about it, realizing it is not ordinary, it's transcendental. There's also the sense of wonder that requires a certain power to see. So then the process of seeing, hearing, and speaking about the soul is also amazing. Yes? So then the soul is amazing, the person who's seeing, speaking, hearing about the soul is amazing, and the process of doing so is also amazing. So all of this is used in a positive sense of admiration, ascharyam, ascharyavat. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur also gives another interesting comment on this verse. He said the word enam refers not only to the soul, but also to the body and to the combination of the body and to this entire world, which is running by a combination of the material and spiritual energies. So therefore, not only is the soul amazing, not only is a person who tries to know the soul amazing, not only is the process of knowing the soul amazing, but this entire body, this entire world, everything is amazing. And that's a very wonderful thing to actually reflect on, that everything is actually amazing. How this world is functioning, how this body is functioning, how this little eye is functioning, how every little part of our body, how every little part of nature is all functioning in such a beautiful, coordinated, interdependent way. So actually, for one who has the eyes to see, one who has the intelligence to understand, one who has the humility to hear from the right sources of the scriptures and the representatives of the scriptures and Krishna, will see that everything is actually amazing. To hear about something, how beautiful this creation is also amazing. So everything is just wonderful and amazing. Then how much more amazing is Krishna? Yes? So let's come, having talked about how wonderful the soul is, how wonderful the whole world is, then let's come to the source of both of them, of the soul and the world, and that is Krishna. So in the 8th chapter of the first canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, we have a description of how Uttara, the wife of Abhimanyu, is very fearful because Ashwatthama, the son of Dronacharya, has released the terrible Brahmastra weapon to kill her womb, the child in her womb, who will be later named as Parikshit. So as you all know, what has happened prior to this is that the Pandavas have emerged victorious in the battle of Kurukshetra, and there are only a few remaining survivors on both sides. And Dronacharya's son, Ashwatthama, is very furious because his father has been killed in what he thinks is an unjust manner. Therefore, he kills the sleeping sons of Draupadi, and ultimately he's forgiven by Draupadi. And even later, his thirst for revenge is not satiated. Even after being forgiven in that way and punished also in a certain manner, he again releases the Brahmastra. He now releases the Brahmastra weapon because he wants to kill all the remaining descendants of the Pandavas. And there's only one left because the 5 sons of Draupadi have been killed. And the only remaining descendant now is the son of Abhimanyu, who himself has departed from this world. So at that time, Uttara comes running to Krishna for protection. And Krishna takes up his Sudarshan Chakra. And then he personally enters into the womb of Uttara and he protects the womb. He protects the fetus, protects the child, who will later be known as Parikshit. So, when Suta Goswami describes this to the sages of Naimisharanya, he speaks this wonderful verse. He says, Ma mamstha hetadascharyam sarvascharyamayetyute ya idam mayaya devya srijatyavati hantyajaha. He says, Ma mamstha hi etad ascharyam. Ma mamstha. Do not think. Etad ascharyam. Do not think that this act of Krishna protecting the womb of Uttara in such an extraordinary way is anything wonderful or amazing. Don't think this is ascharyam. Why not? Because sarva ascharyamaichyute. Because Achyuta or Krishna is sarva ascharyamaya. The word maya indicates full of, or composed of, or is constituted of. Like, for example, Chinmaya. We say the soul is Chinmaya, which means the soul is constituted of spiritual substance. Or Krishna's body is Chinmaya, Satchidananda. Chinmaya means it is full of spiritual substance. It is made of spiritual substance. So, therefore, Sarva Ascharyamaya means that Krishna is constituted of all types of wonder, of everything amazing. Everything about Krishna is amazing. In fact, he is the personification of all types of wonder, of all types of amazing things. Sarva means everything, Ascharya means wonder, Maya means full of. So this is the nature of Krishna. Srila Prabhupada translates that as being infallible and mysterious. So because Krishna is so powerful, there is no limit to his power, and he's infallible, he can never fall down. And he's omnipotent. He's mysterious in the way he acts. Therefore, there is nothing really wonderful about this. So there is something wonderful from our point of view, because we are so tiny, we are so insignificant. But from the point of view of Krishna's omnipotence, it is nothing. Saving one womb in somebody's womb is not something very great for Krishna. It is great from our point of view. Just like for when Lord Ramachandra caused, through his devotees, a bridge to be built across the sea to Lanka with stones that floated on the water, it is something extraordinary. As devotees, we marvel at this accomplishment of the devotees of Lord Ram, who were empowered by Lord Ram. So it is wonderful from our point of view, and we must see it like that as devotees. It is natural for a devotee to see such things as wonderful, as amazing. But from Lord Ram's point of view, that's not amazing. What is, when he's floating millions and millions of universes and millions of planets within each universe in the space, what is great about just floating some stones on water? So from the point of view of Lord Ram's ability, there is nothing extraordinary. But from our point of view, there is something that is amazing, wonderful. So Sutta Goswami says, Ya idam mayaya devya srijatya avati hanti ajaha. Because, why is it not so amazing? Because mayaya devya. Devya indicates divine, mayaya indicates his potency, his energy. Because by his potency, his divine potency, what does he do? Srijati, he creates this entire universe. Avati, he maintains it. And Hanti, he destroys it. Even though he's Ajaha, he is unborn. So therefore, when the Supreme Lord, who is unborn, does all of these things, what is so amazing about him protecting the womb of one of his devotees? But for us, yes, it is indeed very amazing. So when Sutta Goswami says, please do not consider it as something amazing, he's actually saying, consider it as something very amazing from our point of view, but from Krishna's point of view, maybe not so amazing. In fact, earlier on in the Srimad Bhagavatam, when the sages are asking Sutta Goswami so many questions, they want to know so many things. And one of the things they ask him is they want to learn about the birth and activities of Maharaj Parikshit, which they say are Maha Ascharyam. Maha means great. Ashcharya means wonder or amazing. So we want to know about the extraordinarily wonderful birth and activities of Maharaj Parikshit. So there are numerous such examples in the scripture that we can see. Another example that I'll give you is from the third canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam. And this has to do with the appearance of the Lord in the form of a boar as Lord Varaha. Kim etat sukara vyajam sattvam divyam avasthitam aho batascharya nasaya me vinhisritam. This is Brahma thinking. Kim etat, what is this? You see, what happens is that the Lord, in the form of Varaha, appears as a tiny boar from the nostril of Brahma. And then he keeps expanding as he emerges from the nostril outside. And then he assumes a gigantic form. So when Brahma sees this, he says, Kim etat, what is this? Sukara vyajam sattvam divyam avasthitam, who has appeared in the pretense of being a boar. Brahma understands very well that this is not just a boar, it is the Supreme Lord who has come in the form of a boar, or with the pretense of being a boar, Vyajam. Aho bata ascharyam. Oh, it is indeed very amazing and wonderful. Nasaya me vinhisritam, that he has emerged from my nose, from my nostrils. When the Supreme Lord emerges from the nostrils of Brahma, that's an amazing way to take birth. And then he's very tiny initially, and then he expands and expands unlimitedly. Similarly, after baby Krishna in Vrindavan has pulled the grinding mortar to which he has been tied by Mother Yashoda in between the two Yamalarjuna trees, and with a little tug, he pulls down those two trees that fall to the ground with a big thud, huge noise. All the Brajabasis come running out and they see this extraordinary scene there. And they wonder, oh, Asharyam, this is such an amazing thing. How has this happened? How could this little boy, this little child, pull down these two mighty trees? And having fallen down, these two trees fell perfectly on the sides of the child without harming even any single hair on this little child's body. So everything is so amazing. Similarly, in the 6th canto, when Indra is fighting with Vritrasura, or is about to fight, and he sees Vritrasura speaking and acting and thinking like a devotee, so he's amazed. And he says, how come you, who are a demon, have adopted the mentality of a devotee? This is indeed very wonderful. Asharyam. So it is in these positive senses that the word Asharyam is used many times in the scriptures in connection with the Supreme Lord or with his devotees. As I mentioned at the beginning of the talk, that sometimes the word Asharyam is also used in a negative sense to express disbelief when someone is not able to see something that is obvious, or someone is doing something that is so evidently self-destructive. As in the case of this verse that King Kulashekara says here, about how the people of this world drink poison willingly and give up the nectar of Krishna's names. And in the purport, the example is given of the Yaksha Prashna. You know, there is a certain section in the Vana Parva of the Mahabharata where the Pandavas have finished or are about to finish the 12 years of their exile. The condition that Duryodhana imposed on them was that they should be in exile for 13 years, of which in the final 13th year, they should be incognito. And if anybody sees them or recognizes them as the Pandavas, then they will have to restart the entire exile period all over again. So at the end of the 12th year, they come to a certain ashram of a sage, and the sage is very happy to see the Pandavas, and he has a request of them. He says that, you know, we are about to light our sacrificial fires, and we have this arani wood. So there is a certain kind of wood called the arani, which used to be rubbed together, rubbed against each other, and some flames would start, sparks would come, and they would light the sacrificial fire with that. So he says a deer came here, and in her antlers, she took away the arani wood. So we are unable to light our sacrificial fires. Could you please obtain that arani wood for us once again? So the Pandavas venture out into the forest looking for the deer. Nakul, Sahadev, Arjuna, Bhima, they all go and they don't come back. So Yudhishthira gets very worried and he follows them. And then ultimately he comes to the shore of a lake and he sees his 4 brothers lying there dead. And then as he's about to drink water, then there is a crane there, a bird. You know? So the bird says, you can't drink the water until you've answered my questions. And Yudhishthira very intelligently concludes that his 4 brothers are lying on the ground because they must have refused to accept the condition of this crane. This crane is obviously not an ordinary crane. So the crane asks him many, many questions. And these are tough questions, rapid fire questions. And Yudhishthira has to answer all these questions. And Yudhishthira successfully answers them. And then the crane reveals himself as a yaksha, actually as he's Yamaraj himself, actually the father of Yudhishthira Maharaj. And he says, I'm very proud of you. And who would you want revived amongst your brothers? So I will revive only one of them. So he says, revive Nakul. So why Nakul? because I am alive and I am the son of Kunti, so I want at least the son of Madri, one of the sons, to be alive. So Yamaraj is very pleased with him and says, I'll give back life to all four of your brothers, and I'll give you the benediction that you will not be recognized in the final year of your exile. So anyway, one of the questions that uh, the Yaksha asks, or the crane asks Yudhishthira is, what is the most amazing thing in the world? And Yudhishthira Maharaj replies, Ahanya ahani bhutani gachanti ha yamalayam sheshahas thavaramicchanti kim ashcharyamatah param. Again, the word ashcharyam. So he says, every day we see that people are dying. People are going to the abode of Lord Yamaraj. But still, those who are still alive think that this will not happen to me, that I will not die, I will live forever. What can be more amazing than this? So here, Yudhishthira Maharaj uses the word amazing in not a sense of admiration or appreciation, but in a sense of criticism, in a sense of admonition, in a sense of kind of disbelief at the foolishness of people. That it is so obvious that everybody is dying around us and still we think that we will live forever. Isn't that something very foolish? It is so foolish as to be amazing. So it is in a similar sense that this word is used here by King Pulishekar. Asharyam etatti manushya loke sudham parityajya visham pibanti. It is indeed amazing. The foolishness of the people of this world is so astounding that they give up the nectar of Lord Krishna's nectarian names and they accept anyavachaha. They accept other types of descriptions, the description, all the worldly talk, the gossip, they accept that, which is like poison. And they take on, and they give up the nectar of Krishna's names. Srila Prabhupada on some occasions speaks about people speaking mundane gossip. He compares it to a frog. A frog goes on the bank of a lake or something like that, and he stands there very proud of his own beauty and his ability to sing, and he starts croaking very loudly. And the only thing that happens as a result of the frog croaking is that it attracts the snake, who then devours the frog. So the speaking of the frog only invites death, that's all. So similarly, Srila Prabhupada explains that the mundane gossiping and speaking of the people of this world only achieves the task of attracting death. That's all that happens. There's no other benefit from it. So rather, instead of talking about mundane topics and gossiping about so many worldly things, it makes a lot of sense to chant the names of Lord Krishna, which are very delicious, which are nectarian, and which are life-giving, and which can actually give us immortality, which can take us to the spiritual world to give us eternal happy life in the company of Krishna and his pure devotees in the spiritual world. Nama Chintamani Krishna's Chaitanya Rasa Vigraha Purna Shuddho Nitya Mukto Abhinnatvam Nama Nami Noho. So this is the famous verse about how the holy name is the transcendental form of spiritual substance, how it is ever pure, it never decays, and it is non-different from Krishna. Abhinnatvam nama naminoho. So Krishna and his name are non-different. Krishna is the Nami, the one who possesses the name. And the Nam is the name of Krishna. So there is no difference between the two. And also, Rupa Goswami in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, he speaks a very beautiful verse, which Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and all the devotees there like very much, and they appreciate him for that. This is a verse that glorifies the holy names of Krishna. And I'll end with this verse glorifying the holy name of Krishna, because that is what King Kulashekar is speaking about here. Tunde tandavini vitanute tundavali labdhaye karna kroda kadambini ghatayate karnarpudebhyah spriham chetah prangana sangini vijayate sarvendriyanam kritim no jane janita kiyadhiramritaye krishneti varnatvayi. So Rupa Goswami starts by saying, no jane, I do not know. What do I do not know? Janita kiyadbhir amritaihi. Janita means to produce. Kiyadbhir means to what extent or to what measure. Amritaihi. I do not know to what extent amrita or nectar is produced. Produced by what? Krishna iti varna dvayi. Varna means syllables, dvayi means two. So by these two syllables, Krish and Na, together which becomes Krishna, I do not know what quantity of nectar is being produced. Tunde Tandavini, when I chant these holy names, in my mouth the holy name starts dancing. Ratim Vitanute Tundavali Labtaye, and I desire many, many mouths in which I can chant the holy names. Karna Kuroda Kadambini Ghatayate. And when these holy names enter into the holes of my ears and they sprout inside there, then I spriham, the desire awakens in me to have arbudebhyaha, millions of karna, of years. I desire millions of years, and in each year I want to hear the holy names. Chetaha prangana sangini. And then the holy name appears within my heart and dances there. Vijayate sarvendriya, and conquers my heart. Vijayate sarvendriyanam kritim. And then it makes my senses inert. And this is because of the nectar of the holy names of Krishna. These two syllables, Krish and Na. So this is what Kulashekar is also saying here, that Sudham, that this is nectar, the holy names of Narayana, or Lord Krishna. So one should not give it up. Yes, it may be that we are not experiencing this nectar to the degree that Rupa Goswami or King Kulashekar are speaking. It is a struggle for our daily japa. We may fall asleep in between. The mind wanders a lot. Sometimes it becomes like a burden. Somehow we have to finish our 16 rounds for the day. So it is distracted japa. It is burdensome japa sometimes. But there are glimpses of something very wonderful that we may taste or experience in the course of our chanting, not only japa, especially the kirtan. It is not easy to fall asleep in kirtan, especially if you're up and dancing and chanting and so on. And that is why in Kali Yuga, the chanting of the holy names is to be done especially congregationally and accompanied by dancing. I have yet to see somebody falling asleep while dancing. It's easy to see somebody sitting down and chanting japa and falling asleep. It's also possible that people, while sitting down and chanting the holy names, may still fall asleep in kirtan. But when you are dancing and chanting aloud the holy names of the Lord, then it's very hard to fall asleep. So even though we may not be experiencing the kind of nectar that Rupa Goswami and King Kulashekar are speaking about, we can draw inspiration from that. We can try to follow in their footsteps and try to become more serious in our chanting of the holy names, in our hearing and chanting about Krishna. And this way, gradually, by the mercy of the Lord and the devotees, we will also be able to taste the kind of nectar, or at least a very tiny particle of the kind of nectar that these great exalted souls have been experiencing. So I'll stop here. Thank you very much. I think I'm exactly 55 minutes.
Thank you very much, Maharaj.
We have said 50 to 55 minutes. So bang on 55 minutes.
Right on the dot, Maharaj. Thank you so much. It is quite an amazing and wonderful lecture that you gave. And I use those words in very specific ways because it's really the concept of amazement and wonderment that, as we live in a material consciousness, you go on living, the sense of wonder seems to go under. And even things that should amaze us don't amaze us anymore. We tend to become cynical, even when you're looking at the natural beauty. It's just, it seems to be the nature of material consciousness and material conditioning. And it brings to mind this idea that there's really only two ways of living. One is to see nothing as a miracle, and the other to see everything as a miracle. Like what you have pointed out. It was so touching that the way you pointed it out, because as devotees, we see the wonderment even when the insect walks, and Prabhupada would point it out. Look how much brain is in the ant, and so many amazing things all around us, and just appreciating the power in Krishna's holy name. So it really brought out the sense of wonder and the childlike innocence that comes out with that, and it keeps us fresh and young and alive. So this lecture really brought out so much joy in us. Thank you so much, Maharaj. So maybe we have time for one or two questions, if that is okay. It shouldn't take more than a couple of minutes.
Yeah, I'm available. I've kept aside 10 minutes, 15 minutes for that, so no problem.
Thank you, Maharaj. So first question is from Vijay Krishna Prabhu of Portugal. So Vijay Krishna Prabhu, please go ahead.
Maharaj, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Hare Krishna.
Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Maharaj, my question is a very technical question related to the last part of the verse you chose for today's class. And the last part of this verse says that if we do not chant the holy names, we will be drinking poison by speaking everything else. So, yes. So my question is related also to a class you gave at the Bhaktivedanta Manor, where you requested from the devotees about changing the word Rama while chanting the Mahamantra with the word Ramo. Instead of saying Rama, devotees sometimes change it for Ramo with an O at the very end of the word Rama. So my question is it that when I am chanting the Mahamantra, if I chant Ramo instead of Rama, am I drinking poison?
No, certainly not. Certainly not. Ultimately, the Supreme Lord accepts the mood of devotion. He is Bhava Grahi Janardana. Bhava means the mood. Grahi means one who accepts. Janardan is Krishna. So he is not Ucharan Grahi Janardan. Ucharan means pronunciation. So it is not that Krishna appreciates you only for your pronunciation. He appreciates the mood. So definitely, even if somebody chants Ram or Krishna, will definitely accept it when it is chanted with the proper understanding and with devotion. At the same time, Srila Prabhupada did emphasize that when we are doing it, when we are serious practitioners, might as well do it properly. Might as well try to pronounce it clearly. That is also an expression of devotion, that when we do something for Krishna, we try to do it properly, whether it's cooking or cleaning or anything. So there is one quote in which Prabhupada said, some devotee must have been chanting Hare Ramo, Hare Ramo. So he said, who is this Ramo? Who is this Ramo? He just makes a point like that. He's trying to emphasize that we should chant Hare Rama, like that. Okay?
Thank you, Maharaj, for your merciful answer. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Athena. Athena, go ahead.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, Dandavat Pranams. Thank you so much for such a wonderful lecture.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. I apologize if it's, I have a train of thought and would love for you to please comment if my train of thought is correct. And along the way, I have a couple of clarifications, if that is okay. In the beginning of the lecture, you had mentioned that how amazing can be used in different contexts. And in one sense, in a not so great way, is when one thinks, wow, how amazing that everything is by chance, or there is no creator. And as a devotee, we can say, how is that possible? Can't you see the consciousness behind everything? My understanding is that one who cannot see God or is atheist does not have enough sukriti, which is pious credits. And one clarification or one understanding is, if one even has good karma, only good karma is only related to material things. So good karma meaning good material results. And no amount of good karma can result in pious credits, sukriti. So only developing your spiritual bank account of pious credits comes from spiritual practices. And if that is correct, then one has to think, or I would think, then one who is atheist, one of the four who do not come to Krishna, do not have enough sukriti. And whatever they've done to date in the many lives that they have lived, they have not even developed enough pious credits to understand that, or is turned away from God. So for one to make that turn, then really cannot have, no good karma will result in one believing in God, but it must be the causeless mercy of the Supreme Lord or coming in contact with a devotee. And then from there, it is said that when one has, when a family has a devotee, then generations before and after are saved. How is that possible? Are pious credits shared? Is that possible? Is your spiritual bank account allowed to be shared amongst other souls? So if you have an atheist in the family, if there's a devotee, does the atheist child get some pious credits that they later on believe in God? Or of course, as a devotee might give them prasadam or secretly chant the holy name, play Maha Mantra in the background. But even for generations in the past and the future, does Krishna just give them pious credits or give them the chance to causeless mercy, or are pious credits shared? I apologize, I know that was a lot, but if you can please comment on the karma, if it's only material results, the spiritual with the pious credits, the causeless mercy, and being in contact, coming in contact with devotees for one who has not developed the pious credits to come to Krishna, and if pious credits can be shared amongst other souls. I don't know if that's possible, or if you just keep your own spiritual bank account. And then how, I guess technically what happens, or how is it possible that souls generations before and after are saved when one has a devotee in their family? Thank you so much.
So that is the power of devotional service, as per the Srimad Bhagavatam, that any devotional service that is performed by the devotees of the Lord affects others. You see, the principle that one person's actions affects other people is something we are all familiar with. Even in everyday life, we see that. Even in material life, it's happening. Right? So therefore, we have to wear a mask. Therefore, we have to, so that if I have the infection, I don't pass it to somebody else. Because my sneezing, my coughing, my touching this and that is going to affect somebody else. So my actions affect many other people. So this is a common principle. Even at the gross level, even at the subtle level, what I may do, my actions, my thoughts will have this effect on somebody else, even at a subtle material level. So when this is true at the gross and subtle material level, how much more it will happen at the spiritual level. And the extent of the reach of the benefit that is transmitted to other people by one person's being a devotee is far greater than that happens on a material platform. And the greater the devotee, the more powerful and pure the devotee is, naturally, the greater will be the influence and the positive effects of that person's devotion on other people. Not only people who are immediately in that person's surroundings and even beyond that, physically at that location, but also what is interesting and amazing is that it goes back generations before and also for generations to come. So even for those generations that have not been born yet from that person. So the spiritual benefits accrue all across. Such is the nature of the spiritual benefits. So people who are connected to a pure devotee of the Lord also get benefit. Now, it is not that all these 7 generations before and after will automatically become pure devotees and go back to Godhead because there's one pure devotee in the family. No one can go back to Godhead unless one becomes a pure devotee, oneself. And one becomes a pure devotee by practicing devotional service rigorously, with taking trouble and getting the mercy of the Lord and his devotees. So when we say that the relatives in the past and future generations of a pure devotee are delivered, they get the benefit of the pure devotion of that devotee, what we mean is that they get a lot of pious credits, devotional pious credits. They get the opportunity to commence devotional service. They get a favorable circumstance in which they can begin their devotional service. Perhaps many of the impediments and obstacles in their path are all cleared up so that they can become eventually devotees. But at the end of the day, they also have to struggle. They will have to do their chanting, they will have to do their devotional service, but they get promoted to a certain platform from where such things are possible. So this is similar to the statement given in the scriptures, like if you pull the cart of Lord Jagannath, then you go to the spiritual world. Yes? So somebody may be saying, well, I'm pulling for years and years and nothing is happening. I'm still the same. So is this an exaggeration? There are many such statements given in the scriptures. So Srila Rupa Goswami, the Nectar of Devotion, says, no, this is not an exaggeration. It is true in the incidents, in the case of the incidents that are mentioned. Say a bird just touched that holy lake and then developed a 4-armed form and went to Vaikuntha. It's true for that bird. It may not happen for everyone. Okay, but it's true. But what it does for everyone is that it opens the doors for liberation. This is how Srila Prabhupada explains it. That if somebody is pulling the cart of Lord Jagannath, even though that person is not a devotee, has no clue who Jagannath is, who Krishna is, but just happens to be a passerby, and then is interested and just goes and pulls the cart. Now what happens is that the gateway to Vaikuntha, which was locked, now is opened. Meaning that this person has now the opportunity to begin getting the association of devotees and rendering devotional service. So his journey begins. So the process has commenced. So it's not that because he touched the rope automatically, right at that moment, he's going to be promoted to Vaikuntha. But he will have to struggle. He gets an opportunity. So similarly, relatives, associates, those connected to a pure devotee in this generation, in previous generations, previous births, will all get purified of many sinful activities and will get the opportunity to begin devotional service in earnest. So that is how we can understand this. Okay? Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much. And then Shamkun Prabhu with one last point. Shamkun Prabhu, go ahead. And then I'll request Neelmani Prabhu to give the vote of thanks after that. Go ahead, Shamkun Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, thank you so much.
Hare Krishna.
So Maharaj, my question is about, you mentioned that soul is amazing. Some people see soul as amazing. Some people, from second chapter of Bhagavad Gita, that verse, right? So even, what amazes me is even after hearing this so many times, it amazes that I still don't get that I'm not this body. And as the body ages, the concept that I am this body getting more and more stronger. So is it really possible to feel, or at least have a feel that I'm not this body and I have a soul is there? So it's from practical perspective, how can one achieve that I'm not this body?
Yeah. Well, that was precisely the last line of that 29th verse from second chapter, right? Where Krishna says, even after hearing about it, still people don't know.
Correct.
Right? Meaning that even after hearing intellectually, the realization of it is very difficult to get. It's not easy. The bodily conception of life is extremely deep, having been nurtured over millions and millions of lifetimes in this material world. So hearing about the soul is not enough. It has to be constantly trying to operate from the spiritual platform, which means rendering our devotional activities, hearing Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, reciting, chanting the holy names, doing the various sorts of service. So just continuously and as much as possible doing that will give us progressive realization of our spiritual nature. It is gradual, it will take time, so it will eventually happen whenever Krishna wishes that to happen. So we should remain positive. We should not become discouraged that we are not actually feeling or experiencing our spiritual identity, that we still are so much connected to the body. That is natural because we are living in the body. It is our house. It is our vehicle. So the identification with the body is something that comes naturally in this world. So the solution is to just carry on with our devotional service as much as possible, as sincerely and as enthusiastically as possible. And then leave it to Krishna. And at the right time, Krishna will give whatever required realizations are there. That is his department. Our department is we have to do our job. Okay? Okay. Hare Krishna. Hare Bol.
Very much, Maharaj. Thank you. So just before we close down, just a quick announcement to all our viewers who have joined very kindly. So this channel is open every single day. We have programs every single night. So tomorrow evening, His Grace Amarendra Prabhu will speak at 6 p.m. And then next week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, His Holiness Jayadvaita Swami, Jayadvaita Maharaj will continue the Canto 1 lecture series. Jayadvaita Maharaj is actually here in the audience today. Thank you, Maharaj, for joining. And then we also have, then during the week, we have Nitai Sevani Mataji on Tuesday evening and Gopal Hari Prabhu on Thursday evening. So please do join this channel. And now for the vote of thanks, I request His Grace Neelmani Prabhu to give us a word of thanks. And also, please hang on, all the devotees. You'll get a chance to say Haribol to Maharaj at the end. So we'll open up that channel just for 2 minutes towards the end. Thank you.
For that, I'll just offer my obeisances to His Holiness Jayadvaita Swami. You just mentioned that he is also hearing the class. So it is awkward for me to be speaking in his presence. I did not know that I could not see him. I don't know that he's here.
He likes to hide.
My obeisances to you, Maharaj. And I hope I haven't made any mistakes in the class. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Bhakti Rasamrita Maharaj. Just seeing you today just reminds me of the yatras we went on with you. The last one being in Gujarat, where we visited Dwarka and all of the other very wonderful places, and all of the wonderful classes and pastimes, and the association with all the Belgaum devotees there. So joyful, such wonderful memories. But it was so nice to see you and hear from you again like this. So thank you so much for coming on our Zoom session and giving us an amazing class. So I just also like to thank, of course, many senior devotees. Of course, His Holiness Jayadvaita Swami. Thank you, Maharaj, for joining us again. Actually, everybody knows that Jayadvaita Maharaj, he is the actual inspiration for doing this whole Sangha program ever since this coronavirus started. By our Gaunita's mercy, he captured Jayadvaita Swami and trapped him in Towaco temple. So, so by his inspiration, somehow Sangha and the devotees are continuing. Also, I think we have some other senior devotees, Prabhupada disciples, Her Grace Rukmini Devi, His Grace Pushat Prabhu, Her Grace Vegwati Mataji, Shamakrishi Prabhu. I also saw Kaivalya Prabhu. So, and there may be others that I haven't seen, but we like to thank you and request all of your blessings so that we may continue with these services, and especially request all of your blessings and so that we can continue and build this offering to Gaunitai and Krishna and Prabhupada with this new temple in Pasipani. So thank you all so much for joining. Thank you, Maharaj. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. And our obeisances to all the devotees as well. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Maharaj. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, Dandavat Pranam Maharaj.
Hare Krishna.
Krishna.
Dandavat
Thank you
Pranam.
so much,
Hare
Maharaj.
Krishna
Thank you.
Maharaj.
Krishna.
It was a wonderful class, Maharaj.
Wonderful class.
Hare Krishna.
Wonderful.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Thank you. Wonderful and excellent.
Thank you so much, Ke Maharaj. Hare
Dandavat
Krishna.
Maharaj. Thank you.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, thank you.
Jai Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Hare Krishna.
I haven't seen you since Vrindavan, Maharaj.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much, Maharaj.
Hare Krishna Dandavat. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you all very much again. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna. Hare Bol.